Hello and welcome to CityBeat, inside Palo Alto. I'm P.A. Moore. In today's program, we're going to focus on our city streets. How do we slow traffic? We'll look at speed bumps on Lewis Avenue. How can we redesign El Camino for its many current uses? How is utilities work done? In addition, we'll have our regular features, Meet the City Council, Pet Connection, History Corner, and Trash Busters. Do stay with us. The City of Palo Alto has recently received a grant from Caltrans to study ways to accommodate the many uses of El Camino. With me is Virginia Warheit, and she's going to talk about some of those many uses. Virginia, tell us what goes on here on El Camino.
Well, this is a state highway, and there are about 50,000 cars a day on the street, and it's also a truck route. It's also one of the, it is the busiest bus route, the number 22 in Santa Clara County. And so we have to continue accommodating those uses. In addition, since the road was built about 40 years ago, there are many more neighborhoods close by. There are uses along the street that attract people to the street. There are bicyclists and pedestrians trying to cross the street and move along the street. And so what we are looking at is whether we can accommodate all those other uses by reallocating the space. Fortunately, the road was very generously sized when it was built 40 years ago, and so even staying with national standards, we can narrow the travel lanes, and that space can then be provided for bicycle lanes and widening the sidewalks and widening the medians so that they can accommodate large trees.
And how will the public have ways of providing input? This is obviously going to be a fairly long process.
Yes, this is just a study. It's not a construction project, but we are having two community workshops. One was held in the spring, another will be held in late September, early October. And then the plan will be going to the City Council and the Planning Commission and the Architectural Review Board through public hearings in November and December of this year.
And for more information?
Anyone who is interested may call me, and I'd be happy to tell them how they can participate.
Thank you, Virginia. Traffic calming is one of the top 5 priorities for the city of Palo Alto. And the 3 E's of traffic calming are education, enforcement, and engineering. Carl Stoffel is an engineer in the Transportation Department, and he's going to tell us about an engineering aspect of Lewis Road, where we are right now. Carl, what's going on here?
Well, here we have the city's first installation of speed cushions, which you can see out here. This is not only the first installation of this device, which is new to Palo Alto and the area. This is the first installation on a collector street, which is kind of a more major level, busier neighborhood street. And it's also the first installation under our new neighborhood traffic calming program, which has been here for a year, but this is the first time we've finally gotten something out on the road.
And I understand this is a pilot project for about 4 months, so what's been the response so far?
Yes, it is a 4-month trial with the new device, and we've gotten a lot of both complaints and kudos for doing something out here. We've probably gotten more complaints because you might expect, being a busier road, there's a lot more people on these roads than the more local streets. And, you know, it's a new device. People aren't used to it. I think they find them rather bumpy. They used to go down here at 35 miles an hour, and now, as you can see behind you, people are really slowing down. And we do have to look at that and see, you know, perhaps maybe these are too abrupt, where we're going to be finding that out during the trial. Maybe we need to change the spacing of them. We have had a few problems with, you can see here in the near ground, a narrow one in this bike lane, and some people have been driving in this bike lane to avoid the full width of the cushion. So we're going to have to look at perhaps doing something about that even during the trial or before it's over.
And so somewhere during this trial you'll be collecting comments and gathering data, so what will happen during that assessment?
Well, after about 3 months we let people get used to them. And then after about 3 months, we'll be putting our hoses out to measure volumes and speeds. And then we're going to be doing a survey of the residents who live along the street. We're going to be contacting the bus company and the fire department especially, because they're particularly wanting to try these, because with the slots, the fire trucks can go over them with hardly any impact. So we collect all that data, and then we send some notices out to the public and take it to the Planning and Transportation Commission.
And how would people get more information about the pilot itself and how to give feedback?
Well, we'll be, people are calling me now, you know, at my City Hall address or email, when the time comes for the Planning Commission meeting, I'm keeping track of all of those people who have called, and we're going to probably be sending some kind of notice out. Obviously, you can't notify the whole city with individual letters, but there'll be an ad in the paper to make sure that people can see that the Planning Commission meeting's coming up. And probably letters to individual residents within some certain area here.
Scott Bradshaw and I are here to talk about utilities works on the city streets. Scott, tell me, work is happening in these trenches. Can't the work be done in the same trench at the same time?
Well, first of all, there's a number of reasons. For safety and health reasons, not always do you want electric and gas in the same trench, nor would you want water in the same trench as electric. Also, you would not want potable water in the same trench as sewer. Also, different utilities require different types of construction techniques. Sewer and storm drains require work to be put on a slope so the sewage can flow, whereas electric, you would probably want that to be on a fairly level for ease in construction, ease in pulling the new wire into the conduits.
And all of this work sounds like it's a big coordination job. How do you do that?
Well, in fact, we do have a coordination plan with Public Works that's a 5-year plan, and we try to coordinate with Public Works so that all of our construction projects are completed well in advance of any Public Works paving projects. However, there are some things we can't control, such as emergencies, water breaks or gas breaks where we have to dig in the street and repair those. Also, we have very little control over outside contractors that may come in and do work on our streets that don't coordinate with either of us, utilities or Public Works.
And tell me, once the work is done, wouldn't it be logical to just come in the same day and repave it all right away and get it done?
Well, actually, there are three things that have to happen, first of all. First of all, when you backfill a hole, it has to be compacted to meet pre-existing conditions. If you do not compact to meet pre-existing conditions, you may have a sinkhole develop. So first of all, you have to backfill and compact, then you have to schedule a compaction test. Once that compaction test is passed, then you have to schedule concrete to fill in the concrete layer in the hole, and then that concrete has to be in the hole for enough time to cure so it can hold the weight of asphalt, which go on last. Once the asphalt is scheduled and placed, then the job's complete. We try to do this work in less than 15 working days, but sometimes it goes beyond that. But for the most part, we do make that 15 working day time frame.
Well, Scott, thank you so much, because you've answered a lot of questions that people usually telephone about, and I hope this information is useful.
I hope so too. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Yoriko Kishimoto, and I'm one of your representatives on the Palo Alto City Council. When I'm out talking to people, one of the top priorities is always traffic, and it's one of the Palo Alto City Council's 5 top priorities, and it's been my personal hot button for a long time. So I just wanted to talk about why it's important to the city and to me and to you. When people talk about transportation, often the first image that comes to mind is the vehicles, cars, trains, bicycles, but I think that's missing the point. The reason you should care about transportation and land use is basically people. It's neighborhoods, it's our quality of life, it's our clean air, and it's about our kids and how they grow up and how they see the world. In our case, my husband and I have two children. They'll both be at Pali next year, but when I think back on their elementary school days, my daughter met her best friend walking to school, and for every day for 6 years, both my daughters walked back and forth to school. And some of my best memories from those years are from those minutes, walking back and forth. Another part of our family life is a little grocery store around the corner from us called SOS. And it's the type of family-run place where they got to know the kids, and if they were short 5 or 10 cents, they just said, bring it with you next time. So that's what I mean when I say transportation is not about cars. It's really about the quality of relationships that we have with our families and our community. So what can the city do about it, and what can you do about it? And the answer is a lot. Because it's not an accident that Palo Alto is already one of the more walkable and bikeable cities in the community. It took the hard work of a lot of activists and city council that had a clear vision. So we need you to stay involved. The City Council has a full plate on its agenda this fall. We're looking at a number of important developments. We're looking at the El Camino project, the bicycle master plan. So I hope you come to the City Council meetings and contact myself and my fellow City Council members. Thank you.
Welcome to the History Corner, where Steve Steiger and I are going to talk about the history behind El Palo Alto. Steve, what's the accepted history regarding the tall tree?
Well, the story is that Portola's party came to this area in 1769 and camped near El Palo Alto. Residents of San Mateo County prefer to think that he camped on the San Mateo or Menlo Park side, and residents of Palo Alto prefer to think that he camped under the tree on the Palo Alto Santa Clara side.
So there's a geographical dispute going on here. So where did Portola really come from to see this tree?
Well, he came out of the hills to the west. Coming down, he was looking for Monterey Bay and did not find it. Discovered San Francisco Bay instead and was trying to come around it, could not do so, and finally came out of the hills down onto the valley floor in this area. That's not disputed. What is disputed is whether he actually camped beside this tree or perhaps another redwood tree along the creek.
I like things like this that keep historians busy for years. What's the current status of the tree?
Well, of course, as we noticed today, that it is a single-trunk tree. Sometime in the 1880s, one of the trunks fell in a storm. We don't know the exact date because no one was around to really record it. But the single-trunk tree today remains here alongside the creek, just downstream from the railroad bridge.
And I noticed that the city or somebody has put up some plaques. What do you know about those?
Well, the plaques are to celebrate the history of the entire creek drainage system, including the biological history, the people's history, and other things of that nature.
So this would be a pleasant walk for somebody to walk by and see history in the making.
Oh, definitely so, and especially to see El Palo Alto, which is the symbol of both Palo Alto and Stanford University.
Well, thanks very much, Steve. The city of Palo Alto dedicated an olive grove as memorial to the victims of September 11th. The Management Academy is making enhancements to that grove. Steve Sims, tell us something about those enhancements.
Well, the enhancements will include a beautiful flower garden at the front of the grove, which will house the plaque that will be dedicated. Also will include pathways into the garden and benches to sit on. And this will all lead you into our meandering labyrinth, which will be the final part of our project.
And I understand the Management Academy took on this project. Can you tell us something about what the Academy is?
Well, the Management Academy is a city-sponsored training session which is 10 classes in length that spans over about 12 to 16 weeks, depending on our schedules. And what it gives us cutting-edge management training given by really, really high-caliber instructors that instruct powerful managers from the biggest corporations in the United States.
And what's the Academy meant to you then? This must be a very intense learning experience.
It was intense, but my classmates, after the first couple classes, we bonded and became just more than classmates. We became friends. We became collaborative contacts that we can call on each other from now throughout our careers to get the job done.
And I understand that the Academy has to raise money because the city is not in very good financial straits right now. How is the Academy going to raise the money, and how would you suggest people donate?
People can donate through mail-in donations. We have flyers available at the city libraries, city community centers. We'll be passing out flyers at various city-sponsored events. And you can also send a donation at the following address.
Hi, I'm Officer Heather Akins of the Palo Alto Police Department, currently assigned to hiring and training. If you've ever thought about a career with the Palo Alto Police Department and law enforcement, now's the time to apply. With so many agencies, you may wonder, why Palo Alto? We offer a great 4-11 work schedule, which means you work 4 11-hour days and have 4 days off every week. We offer competitive salaries, excellent benefits, and have a variety of specialty positions to offer. But mostly, we have a unique group of people who are amazing to work with and learn from. If you think you have what it takes to be a Palo Alto police officer, call today for an application. Our number is 329-2601, or visit us on the web at www.papd.org.
Hi, my name is Wendy Hediger. I'm with the Palo Alto Recycling Program, and I'm here at the Recycling Drop-Off Center to talk to you a little bit about the new items we're starting to accept here. We have plastics 1 through 7, all containers, milk and juice cartons, motor oil containers, and plastic bags. For the plastic 1 through 7, we do ask that you make sure there's a number embedded in a recycling symbol. If it doesn't have the recycling symbol and just a number, that does not denote the polymer type, so I can't accept that. So that means that we take the traditional number 1 and number 2 bottles, but we also take lotion bottles, plant containers, Miracle Whip containers, margarine tubs, anything that has, if you look on the bottom, anything that has the number in the recycling symbol. So it's 1 through 7. That also means that polystyrene containers like this to-go container are also accepted. They're a number 6 plastic. In another container, we're taking the milk and juice cartons as well as juice boxes. Then we have the motor oil containers, which are either have that you bought your oil in itself or something that you drained your oil in. Anything that has motor oil residue, that's a plastic 1 through 7 container. No other types of containers. But make sure you keep these separate from the other plastics because of the motor oil residue. And our last item that we added are plastic bags. This could be grocery store bags, dry cleaner bags, produce bags, bread bags, and also bubble wrap can also be accepted. So this is Wendy Hediger asking you to reduce, reuse, recycle, and buy recycled.
Every city has a sign shop, and I'm with John Costa right now, and he's going to tell us something about the signs here for the city of Palo Alto. John, we have lots of different signs. What's going on?
Yes, we do. As you can see, this is our whole stock room for our signs. We'll start here. We have our bicycle route signs. Palo Alto's known for its bicyclists. We also have our no parking signs in this area. As you walk through here, we get into our stop signs that we have, very important. And some of our signs, the faces will come before they're put on metal. You can see that. And as we move along here, then we have our traffic control signs, such as keep right, keep left, truck loading signs, the signs that pertain to all of our islands, directing traffic, our speed limit signs. So pretty much we're really in the sign business. And as we get over here, as you can see, this is all of our new colors, Cal State specs for our school zones. And if I could say, Palo Alto is one of the few cities that has all of theirs in place. It takes a lot of time to get all this changed over.
Well, John, I know that also the sign shop here has a bit of a historical aspect. What are all these signs up here on the wall?
Okay, these have been over the years, over many years, some of our collector signs, and the reflectability used to be done with a little, what I call the reflective marbles. Some of them go back the late, or maybe late 30s.
And we know they're the late 30s because of what?
Well, they have it was controlled by the AAA traffic, used to control putting up all the signs, and so they had their logo on them. And these signs are all steel. They're not aluminum. So as you can see where they get rusty and they wear out, and it's very expensive if it was to do that today.
Let's end our tour with this famous sign of the Palo Alto city limits. What happened with this one?
Well, as you can see where that probably came from, that's up there from the foothill area. And so that took a few shotgun shots through it.
Well, thank you so much for this wonderful historic and informative tour. This glorious, smelly place is called the Wetlands, the Baylands Interpretive Center. With me is Deborah Bartons. Deborah, tell me something about what are the many uses of this place?
Well, we offer school groups, programs to school groups of all ages, the preschoolers that just left here all the way through college, and that's through the general school year. We have the afternoons, we're open to the public, so anybody can come here and explore in the open ecology lab or learn about the plants and the animals here. And then we have special programs in the mornings and in the evenings, open to the public all year round.
The wetlands are basically a very tidal place in that the tide influences everything that goes on. What happens at high tide?
Well, at high tide, a lot of the mudflats and the plants are covered up. So that's when a lot of the birds will go take naps or roost and digest their food. And the plants will just do what some of these very special plants in the wetlands have to do sometimes when they're underwater, which is a very unusual plant. A lot of times it's a great time to see some of the very unusual birds that we have here. So we have birders come in from all over the world at our winter high tides.
And then low tide, I mean, is something where we have a lot of food available. What happens then?
At low tide, when the water goes out, that's when the mudflats are exposed, and that's when soup's on, because as the water recedes, all of these very small or microscopic animals, worms, little microscopic crustaceans, and little clams are all exposed. So the birds come in to eat. So as soon as the water recedes, you'll see the birds coming to feed, and you can also see places where the bat rays were feeding at low tide. They go out with the tide. The plants, they can carry on as a dry land plant or a plant that's underwater. So everything here is based on the rhythm of the tides. We have 2 high tides and 2 low tides every 24 hours.
And I understand you have a video microscope so that we can see some of that food that the birds are eating. So will you show that to us?
Sure. Come on inside.
What a great picture. Deborah, tell me what I'm looking at here in this video microscope.
Well, this is one tiny little drop of water, and as you can see, a lot of these are diatoms, which are single-celled plants. Some of them can move around, and some little creatures moving through here, not knowing what that one is for sure, but this can give you an idea of how much can live in just, and I mean, I put one tiny little scraping off the surface of the mud to scrape the diatoms off, and this is just part of it. If I scan all the way through this entire slide, we can find chains of algae, little microscopic crustaceans, worms. Oh, here's somebody. And colonies of animals that are living here. It's just loaded with different types of microscopic animals and plants.
So there's a lot in just one drop of water, which has a lot of implications for environmentalists and preservation.
Oh, definitely. If you can see how many plants and animals live in just one tiny little drop of water, and people say, well, does it matter if somebody fills in a wetland or builds on a wetland or extends property onto a wetland? Well, if you think of all those single drops of water, you can think of billions of lives that it's going to affect, not just in the microscopic world, but all through the food web that's involved with a wetland.
Well, thank you very much, Deborah. This has been very enlightening. So residents, friends, visitors, do by all means come and visit the Baylands Interpretive Center, a wonderful place to visit.
Now available for adoption at the Palo Alto Animal Shelter. Ernie is an 8-year-old neutered male cat. Ernie is a very easygoing guy who enjoys being snuggled and rubbed behind the ears. Fats is another big cat that is a 5-year-old neutered male. Fats is a lovable cat that enjoys the company of people from all age groups and is very tolerant of other cats. Timber and Storm, both of these beauties were left at the shelter by their previous owner who could no longer care for them. They are both spayed females younger than 3 years old. They love each other and would love an indoor home together. Gwen is an adult spayed female rabbit that is very sweet and gentle. She loves to be held and brushed. Gwen is litter box trained and she loves to play with a variety of toys. She is very entertaining. Rodney is a 1-year-old neutered male wire hair dachshund. Rodney is a great little dog who is friendly, outgoing, smart, energetic, and well-mannered. Daisy is a 2-year-old spayed female Staffordshire Terrier mix who is very gentle and kind-hearted. Daisy walks well on a leash, likes the company of other dogs, and loves to be loved. She would make a fine companion for most any type of household. You can visit these animals and many more at the Palo Alto Animal Shelter, 3281 East Bay Shore Road. We're open Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Give us a call at 496-5971.
Thank you for watching CityBeat Inside Palo Alto. I'm P.A. Moore. If you have comments or suggestions, please send them to the email address listed at the end of the credits.